For about 5 years, so not too bad, but he is still humanized and he does still present to be groomed. So that is presenting, that's him asking to be touched. Which obviously, if you see that, completely ignore him. He needs to learn that humans don't give him his attention. He does have some aggression. He was kept in a crate that was probably about this big, you know, about enough for him to lie down. And then was passed from one owner to the next who owned a farm. The owners on the farm just decided to let him out and see what happened. He obviously bit someone, because you don't just take a monkey, let them into a new space with other animals and humans and expect everything to be okay. And that's when he was brought to us. We were told he was extremely aggressive and had lots of behavioral problems. He doesn't. He's an ex-pet, so he has some issues. He's not a hyper-aggressive monkey. He was just put in a situation where he felt threatened and he bit someone. But, I mean, you can see he's mostly quite calm. He can get aggressive if you're too in his space, so that's why you don't stand close, you don't put the foraging close to him, give him any space he wants. But generally, yeah, he's a lovely boy. And hopefully will be integrated into a troop. I don't know if it's going to be this troop or somewhere else, but we'll see. There's not much reason that he can't be integrated as far as I've seen.
So how long has he been here?
He got here, it was earlier this year. Maybe like February, March time. Yeah. So it's basically impossible to put the forage in without her going for it. So I let her take a piece. She's not generally aggressive. She can be if she thinks you're going to give food to anyone but her. So as long as she's getting something, she's pretty happy. I like to put plenty in because it's really good for the babies. And then they've got the water just down around the other side. So we have in here, the mum is Stump. So she's the one sitting in the middle there with the shorter tail. Stump was brought here. I don't know what her story is. I'm not sure why she ended up here. But she managed to get pregnant from the bandits. So Wild Monkey came and she had Squeezy and Roman. So she got pregnant not once but twice. That then meant we couldn't integrate her. Like I said, integrating 2 monkeys at a time, especially a female with a baby, it can be a threat to the troop. It's very difficult. It just basically ruined her chances. But her and Squeezy are really good together, the mum and daughter. The male, Roman, is now getting quite old, so ideally we'd want to move him somewhere else so that he can be integrated into a troop.
Yeah, he's big already.
He's a big boy. He's a beautiful male. He's a perfect example of a male. And he would, I'm sure, be an alpha male somewhere. So I would love to see him go out into a troop. But for now, we don't integrate any monkeys into Royal anymore because for the past couple of years, females in there have managed to get pregnant. I don't know how. I don't know who is making all these monkeys pregnant because we even try and vasectomize the bandits.
We know that.
But because they're having their own babies, they've become a very wild troop, and so we have stopped doing anything with them. We just let them do their thing. So we're not going to put new monkeys into the troop. So if we do integrate him, we'll move him somewhere else. Okay. And again with these guys, I always like to put forage in 3 different places just so that they don't have to fight over it.
So is Roman dominant in this cage?
Yes, very. Yeah. The mum actually is the least dominant. So she gets told off all the time by her bratty children. These are Sunky and Sparkle.
That's right.
So the female is Sparkle, the male is Sunky. The monkeys in this intro cage are very gentle, very old. You can have your back to the intro cage. It'll be okay. And it's much better than standing near these two. So you need to change their water or fill them up. This is where you want to come. And giving them food, you're careful as with the D&D ones. And if you want, you can top up their water a little bit. In here. So Amis was hit by a car when he was a baby with his mum. He got some brain damage. So we did actually manage to integrate him into the troop when he first arrived. But when his health declined, we took him out for assessment and the troop wouldn't accept him back. So the troop accepting a young monkey with brain damage is one thing, but to accept back an adult with brain damage, it's considered too much of a liability to the troop. So that's why he now lives in an intro cage. You can see he's very old. He's been losing weight recently. He's got these bowl patches. We think he maybe had some external parasites. So he's getting medication every day. He's currently on a 2-week deworming schedule as well to try and get rid of any of the parasites he has. But he's a very old boy. He's a very old boy who wouldn't have made it past a year in the wild. So it's a miracle he's where he is now. And his partner Banye, she also used to live in the troop. She has chronic diarrhea, very prone to parasites, and also quite old. We brought her out to fatten her up and give her some medication, and her and Amis just fell in love. And so they've stayed together ever since. They're really, really beautiful together, always grooming, sleeping together. It's like the rare occasion you find the perfect match. And because both of them need extra care, we just left them in together.
Even though they don't have the same age at all.
Well, she is quite old, so they're similar age.
So, okay.
Yeah, they are similar age.
I'm getting confused with the age of the lady apes.
It's harder. Yeah, it's definitely harder. I'm out of forage, so if you want, you can give to these guys.
Okay.
It's a good end of life for them.
Yeah, exactly. You know, they get all the food they want. They have a good space. Usually
Yeah, together.
Exactly. Usually they have both of these intro cages. They actually have, you know, like a mansion almost. And he can't use his hands very well because when he was hit by a car, his fingers are all broken, so they're sort of curled around. So we like to make sure he has plenty of like softer foods and foods that he can get to. If we're giving seeds, then we'll give him a big pile so he can just scoop some out. And how's their water? Looks okay. Yeah. These two are troop monkeys. They're only in here for 2 weeks because we're deworming them and fattening them up a little bit. They're very old ladies, and as it's coming to winter, we just want to make sure they're in good condition. So they won't be in here for very long. And you can do forage again if you like.
Okay.
They're very unaggressive and very excited about food all the time, so. But they're just such funny old ladies. I love them. And they're very sassy. They're always fighting bandits.
That's all.
So we don't do anything for these monkeys. We don't integrate them. We don't pull them in for medical reasons unless absolutely necessary. We do try and vasectomize the males, but they still have their own babies every single year. And they're just, if we get to the point where we have enough money to start the Vervet forest and to have a wild space, this would be the troop to go. So we try to keep them as wild as possible.
So it means that you can buy land which would be neighboring land of different countries, right? Or you have to...
We don't know
push
yet,
your own.
so...
Because there is a forest right next to the property.
But I don't think it's big enough, is the problem. I think the idea that Dave and Josie have is the forest that they want, it's to be big enough to take all of these troops, but for each troop to have their own space within it, but also be able to interact and for the males to move between troops when it's their time.
100 hectares or something.
Yeah, it would be huge. So until we have the money to purchase that kind of land, we can't try and find the land because we'll find it and then someone else will buy it before we have the money. So there's really no point until we actually have the means to go ahead and purchase something to start looking. So, and obviously again, the pandemic's put that back slightly because we can't be fundraising for the forest when we have to be fundraising just to get food right now. But hopefully someday. And until then, this troop is huge and, you know, very green, very wild. They have what they need. It would just be nice for them to have the freedom to interact with other troops and to move how they naturally would in the wild.